Yeah, I gotta say, I kind of feel like the modern world is a trap. Like just about every single thing about it. And like most of the people in it are, I don't know, NPCs or whatever. It's it's like everything about our lives is so far away from the way things used to be in like a more natural world, you know. Like in the old world, in the old days or whatever, I could just be walking around someplace like this and be like, "Oh, hey, this over here looks like a good spot. I'll just clear that out and start building my cabin there. I could have my garden over here, and you know, it's the way it used to be." Then you'd walk, trails like this were like the roads, and you just walk to some spot where people gathered, some kind of little village or whatever, to trade your wares. And now it's all gone. Now that's all gone. And we've got all these fucking gadgets, and the whole sense of community and things like that is all gone. And what we have in place of the like old school human connections and communities and friendships and trading and like real work. God damn it, that's one of the things. That's one of the subjects of a video I was thinking of making, if I could just get the words right. Trying to explain. It's such a hard, difficult thing to explain. But like the difference between what people do now in an unfree society where you're forced to, quote, work. Oh, you gotta work or you're a pussy. Oh, you're not manning up. You gotta do this. This is what we do in society. There's a difference. How do I even put this though? I mean, okay, like, say back in the old days, right? You would, like I said, you'd build something like that. Like, you just find a spot, say, nice little clearing. Oh, there's this nice spot for my, little cabin. I'll clear out this over here. I'll plant a garden there. And I can put my smokehouse over there to hang up meat and dry it and salt, cure it. And I'll, plant some tobacco over here or whatever the fuck, right? And then, building the cabin was work. Clearing the brush out of the way to build the cabin was work. Building the, cutting trees and to make a fence to put around was work. Plowing up the ground and tilling the soil and planting was work. Watering the crops was work. Harvesting was work. Preserving food was work. Hunting was work. And if you harvested your crops and you had an abundance and you went to do trade and to go from one place to another to trade this thing for that thing or whatever, that's another sort of work, and that's how people lived. And if you did gather, coin or something in some sort of employ, your money didn't lose its value. The things that you owned didn't become worthless over a short period of time. They maintained their value or became even more valuable. You know? Like You know, in some ways it's still true. Even when you're talking about coins or something, even like, you know, your penny's worth more than a penny, your dime's worth more than a dime, your nickel's worth more than a nickel. You know, your quarter's worth more than a quarter, and so on and so forth. But your paper dollar loses its value more and more and more every day. And it's happening so rapidly. And your digital dollar, whether it be paper or it's an imaginary digital format because the bank has it, right? What do you think would happen if, say, the power went out and it stayed out? What would happen to all the money that you had in the bank? Do you think the bank has like a paper form file cabinet where they have your record showing how much money you had in there? You think they could even open the vault or whatever, or even have that on hand to give you the money? Or do you think that your money would just disappear because the power didn't come back on? Just wondering, you know. Right? Or say the BRICS, you know, foreign currency become the thing. It becomes a new world reserve currency. And then your bread is, you know, $500 a loaf or something, and you know, everything's ridiculously expensive because the paper is worth nothing basically, except for the only, you know what makes paper money worth anything in reality, like fiat, the dollar and stuff? You know what makes that able to buy anything at all in reality? It's like it's like a belief system basically. It's like people imagine that it's worth money, so it's worth money. They imagine it to have value. It's imagination. That's the fucking power of the dollar. That's it, man. If everybody in the world imagines that this water bottle is worth $1 million, then it is, because I can just go somewhere and be like, I will give you this water bottle and you will give me $1 million. And they say, okay, that's fair, because I know that water bottle is worth $1 million. It's belief. It's fairy tale. It's like, do you believe in fairies? Clap if you believe in fairies. You got to have faith. Have faith that this water bottle is worth $1 million. And it is, right? Kind of everything in society, in a way you could say, is based on faith. And I hate to say, because people might not like me saying this, but it's like, that's one of the biggest problems I see in our society, and probably why literally the entire world is collapsing and going to shit. Nobody's doing anything about it. Because people have faith. We have faith in our leaders. We have faith in the fiat money. We have faith that going to work for some corporation in exchange for fiat notes or digital percentage points on some, you know, computer screen is money. And our faith makes it so, right? In the same way, we have faith that God is going to save us. So we don't do anything to battle the forces of darkness in the world, basically, because what was it? Judgment is mine. Oh, wait. Vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord. Turn the other cheek, and so on and so forth, right? So that's what people do. It's not my place to stop these evil bastards. That's what God is for. Right? See, that's a way in which the world has changed a lot, right? And you could say Christianity has changed a lot too, because it used to be that, like crusaders back in the old days, if there was anything even coming close to 1/100th of the level of wicked bullshit going on in the world was happening back then, there would have been like armies of crusaders riding in with swords and axes and just slaughtering the fuck out of people. People would have been getting burned at the stake and crucified and strung up by the hundreds or thousands, you know, with those Christians, you know. Pretty much. That's why it's all over the place. That's why it's spread so far all over the world. Do you think they spread the religion all over the world by saying, love your neighbors? Fuck no, dude. They said these people believe in pagan gods. Kill them. That one's a witch. Burn her! You know? That's how it was, man. So here we are today. Churches everywhere. Christian religion everywhere. That is why. And then it's like the New Testament. Turn the other cheek. Love thy neighbor as thyself. On and on and on. You know, vengeance is mine, this saith the Lord. On and on and on. You know, governments are ordained by God. Turn the other cheek. Slave, be submissive to your master. That became the new freaking, you know, part that we pay attention to in Christian societies and so on. And so here we are. Because we have faith. We have faith that God will save us. We have faith in fake money, fiat currency. We have faith in the leaders that God has appointed to rule over us according to the books and so on, right? Basically. So that's kind of a big one issue I have with that whole thing. I don't know. I mean, honestly, basically, we live in a world where the promise of God is violated, and the freedom that we're promised, the provision we're promised, that's literally all around us in nature. But some people come along and they said, all your base are belong to us. All your money are belong to us. You will own nothing and be happy. Eat the bugs. And here we are. And, you know, our tolerance and our diversity and all this other shit, right? So we have no countries. We have no home. We have no true provision or sustenance for, though it's all around us. People have claimed what is ours is theirs. What is theirs is theirs, and what is ours is theirs, and we're theirs, and our children are theirs, and so on and so forth. And not enough people have protested this perspective. So everywhere you go, you're chased, you're chased, you're chased. You know, in the old world, like say the medieval days or whatever, you know. As I said before, a person would just be wandering around, you know, trails like this sort of stuff were everywhere. That was the roads. That was how you got from town to town, city to city, state to state, country to country, whatever, on a bunch of trails that wound around like these, you know. And along the way, if you saw some spot in the clearing that looked nice, and you saw some little trees and stuff, you could just grab your, you know, have an axe and your tools and stuff to bring with you, and you just start chopping and stacking, and before you know it, you've got a cabin, or you've, built some sort of a hut, and you got a fireplace going in there, and you got a fire pit out front, and you've built a fence around it, you've got a garden in the ground, and there's your home. And you took from what nature provided, from what was the provision from God that's all around us, right? That was promised to us in the Bible, right? Behold, the birds of the field, for they sow not, neither do they reap nor gather into barns, but your heavenly Father feedeth them, right? Are you not much greater than they? Behold the lilies of the field, right? That's the land belongs to us all. And there's plenty of it in the world for everyone to have a piece of land, a good piece of land that they could provide for their families with, and provide for themselves with, and have shelter and warmth. And I mean, there's less available to hunt nowadays, though, because of all the super wealthy people back in the Old West that wanted to, the people that were wanting to buy a bunch of like furs and feathers and things like that. So they just like slaughtered tons of animals by the millions. And these rich people go on safari, fucking load up a train with like a whole group of servants or friends or whatever, and they just stand on the back of a train car and shoot everything along the side, and then go back and pick up the carcasses to stuff them or skin them, or have a sketch or a picture taken with the, cut off their heads and mount, so you can mount it on the wall later or whatever the fuck. That's what they would do. And they, like entire herds of buffalo just slaughtered and so on and so forth. But that was the provision, food that was literally everywhere. You say money is the root of all evil. No man can serve two masters, for either he'll hate one and hold to the other, or despise one and of the other, or something like that. You cannot serve God and mammon, right? It's easier for a rich man to pass through the eye of a needle. No, hold on, wait, no. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. There's a lot of passages like that in there. It talks about the provision from God, and it talks about how, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. There's a whole lot of that kind of stuff in there. But we find ourselves in a system nowadays where it's like everyone is stuck in this perpetual form of slavery. It would be akin to indentured servitude, essentially, because all of what's been provided by nature and by God has been stripped away from us, and we have these faraway rulers and their enforcers that they have all over the place that say that all the land belongs to them and we're gonna stay out of it, build a cabin, they'll chase you away. You can't park a camp trailer, they'll chase that away. You're not paying taxes on this piece of dirt that, oh, you didn't pay us for this piece of dirt that we claim to own that's in the middle of nowhere, right? It's ridiculous. It is what it is. But I can't help but think that it's not going to be like that for too much longer, honestly. I mean, not if there is a God, right? If these plans of the wicked collapse or whatever, then this shit system of indentured servitude and fiat money and people going without homes and the provision of nature will fucking be gone. And it'll just be like freedom, free at last, free at last. You know? But it'll probably go totally crazy because people don't know how to even live like that anymore. And people are, indoctrinated and armed to the teeth and to ridiculous levels. I mean, a lot of people probably don't even know how to plant a garden or how to preserve food in any sort of way, or how to hunt, or how to fish, how to build a shelter, how to find their way from one place to another without GPS. Kind of seems to be a situation where there's almost nothing left. There's nothing left but indentured servitude, essentially. But it's a much worse form of indenture than it used to be, kind of. Aside from the entertainments and the drugs that are meant to keep us from noticing that fact. Indentured servants had better quarters and, for the most part, got paid and so on and so forth. But they got paid in real money. They didn't get paid in... They got paid in real money and lands and so on and so forth. They didn't get paid in, scraps of paper. There was no inflation. Unless there was scarcity. Like if you had, blueberries or something in an area where blueberries were scarcely seen, then you might be able to trade those blueberries for more money or a better trade than you would somewhere else where there were lots of blueberries growing, But, or whatever, And like your Burger King, your McDonald's or whatever the heck back in the day, right? You walking around some like roads that are like these trails back here, You know, if it was a heavily traveled area, like some guy might just set up a little push cart booth or something there and say, would you like to buy some apples? I have apples for sale. I have bread, you know. You know, whatever, right? Fresh fish, buy fresh fish, you know. That's... And the dude didn't have to have a goddamn business license and corporation and all this other kind of bullshit to do that either. You just say, pick some apples or caught some fish in a creek somewhere and hung them up on his cart and said, fresh fish for sale, fresh fish, buy fresh fish. People would walk up and give him a coin or whatever in exchange, and that was it. That was, you know, that was a job or whatever back then, right? Basically everything is sales or sales affiliated in the modern day, or service, you know. But that sort of thing never used to be even necessary to live a good life. Lots of people just would find a patch of ground and they'd build a home right there and they'd farm that land right there. And then maybe they'd travel to town to do some trading if they needed to or whatever. For the most part, they lived their lives free. You know, that freedom has been taken away from us, basically. Because it's like we're chased. Try to be free and you'll be chased. And even those who aren't truly free, who fritter their lives away in tedious work for fiat, are robbed and chased about everywhere too. You know, freedom now isn't free, it's it's rented. It's a temporary rental. I hope someday we'll all be free. You know, I had a dream. I've had numerous dreams where I've been to this place that I would say, if anything was heaven, it's this area in my dreams or whatever. But I could describe it. There's a lot of different areas in this place. It's this huge world with all sorts of different areas. The area where I saw, like, my cabin. Give me a cabin in the corner of glory land. Right, build me a cabin in the corner of glory land. There's actually a picture on the cover of this old Western song. It's a song called Rank Stranger. You know they are all rank strangers to me, rank strangers to me. Everybody I met, Ralph Stanley, seemed to be a rank stranger. No other or dad. Not a friend could I see, not a friend could I see. You know. Know their names, I don't know their faces. It seemed they were all rank strangers to me. You know. There's a picture on like YouTube. It's kind of like an animated GIF or something, I think, that is exactly, looks like a fucking straight up picture of this cabin in my dream. I mean, all the details are right. There's the windmill in the distance, and the well, and the fence there, and the cabin looks the same, except it was like back up against like a hill, kind of in this dream. And it's just all these like trails around, kind of like the trails out here, right? And that's like part of it. But there's all these other parts. Like there's this one area, I want to say heaven, where it's kind of like water world almost. And they're part of it. There's people living in like houses, and there's whole little cities and things that are floating on the water, and you travel by boat. That's one area. And there's other areas that basically just look like, kind of like the modern world, but, you know, nicer. And there is no money, basically. And there are bars, and there's beer and stuff like that. But it doesn't get you drunk. No. And there's like kind of different types of amusement park sort of things. There's an area where it's like carnival, and there's like boat ride things, like all kinds of things like that. Huge world. There's areas that are just like normal neighborhoods, but like mansions and houses and beachfront homes, and, you know, the ocean. There's like cities. But been in some houses there that are amazing. Like, you see the freaking bathtub in some of these places. Amazing. Like, if I was ever like super rich, I would want to build, like, if I had like a big house or something, I would want to set up like a bathtub that's like the type of bathtub that I saw in some of these houses that I walk through in my dreams or whatever. I think you can probably get, it's kind of like a hot tub, right? Basically is a hot tub, but it's like stone or marble or whatever. And you walk down into it, and it's like a bathtub that's also like a hot tub kind of thing, you know? And then, I mean, some of the showers are cool too. It's like big open like room, where this decent sized room is like a shower, big shower head, and you just walk in, you know? There's a lot of things there with like sharper colors, you know? And there's somewhat different sorts of technology and stuff too. Yeah. Well, like they have these little cubes, right? That project a hologram into like midair to create sort of a screen, but it's kind of like an interactive thing, so you can immerse yourself in the screen, or you can see it like it's a screen in front of you, or you can decide to see it in like a first person perspective as though you were inside of the screen. Yeah. I don't know how to describe all this shit. Had some interesting dreams. And the stars and the skies can basically like come alive and put on a show for you. It's and there's other areas that like, remember from the place, it's kind of like, imagine like steampunk world or something, you know, like all the tech, but like completely different sort of technology, like mechanical and steam power and things like that have just become way more advanced. But you don't see like computer screens and like that or anything. Yeah. But there's electricity. But it's a different kind of electricity. And it's free. Yeah. I don't know. I was in this one place, it looked like some vault or storage room or something. Like massive library. And then there's also all these like artifacts and gold and jewels and all this stuff piled like far as the eye can see, basically. Like the most extensive library you could imagine. And you wake up and you're back in this shit, right? But it changes. It likes to change. Shit'll be different from one day to the next. Never really seems to be better. Seems to just kind of get worse and worse. There's some neat stuff sometimes. It's like, oh, that's neat. Look, there's rainbow mountains now. I guess that's cool. Oh, pillars of light. There's light shooting up from the ground into the sky is a natural phenomenon now. Oh, look, there's different type of lightning than ever existed before. That's neat. Oh, look, colorful, different colored lakes. Yeah, that's okay then. Oh, now there's rainbow trees. Check out these weird new animals that never existed before. You know. Or like you go to take out the garbage or whatever, and you've had the same garbage can for 10 fucking years. It's this green garbage can or whatever, same shape. You walk out to go take your garbage out, you're like, didn't this garbage can used to be green and kind of square shaped? And it was bigger. Why is it this different color now and smaller and rounded? I don't know. Hey, what the hell is that? Is that a garbage truck? It looks like some shit from iRobot. Where'd all the regular garbage trucks go, you know? And then you're like, oh, just so much strangeness. That's what a Mandela effect shit does. I don't know, I said in some earlier video, like these trails here, and this whole park was like totally different. And in a way that is, I can't see any natural explanation for how it could have changed to this extent. because it's like the river itself changed course in order to allow for the park to have changed this much. It's not like they could have just expanded the park so easily in the way that they have, unless they somehow redirected the river into a different path or something. Or built a bridge over from, like, oh, you want to go to section B? That's over the bridge that the river has got, you know. Because there was a fucking river that curved around right there. And now it doesn't. And now the park is like 4 times or more bigger than it used to be. Way more trails, but they're completely different trails, and the landscape looks different. And like, trails don't lead to the same places they used to for the most part. Looks like the river is in a different course than it used to be on 20 fucking years ago, or even 10 years ago. Yeah. Thing's fucking crazy. Swamp. More swamp. Well, it's good to kind of get out in some nature. Be alone with my thoughts, kind of, and some fucking fresh air and sunshine. See some nature. Woo! Nature. Yeah. Nature boy. Alright. Well, yeah. That is what it is. Yep. You know? If there is this, you hear some people talk about, like, whether it be reincarnation or people saying that you come in, oh, you're a star seed and you came here to help the earth to wake up and develop and blah, 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 or whatever the heck. You know, the new agey kind of shit that people say, oh, yes, we chose to come here. Like, I mean, there's some pretty sides, but I don't think I would have done that. I don't know if you knew, like, how utterly enslaved the fucking planet is and shit. And then you'd have to be like, no, we insist that you pretend like this piece of paper is worth something. Quick, worship it. Get on your knees and worship the paper. Do it now. Ah, God. This would be a nice world to be free in, I imagine. With the wolves from nipping at your heels. Fucking machinations, man. Fuck all these machinations. And their stupid agendas and the, oh, we've got to build this giant prison so that we can all live in it. Quick! Bow down before the paper. It has ink on it and shit. It is worth. It is. You should sell your life for this paper with the ink on it. Don't be a pussy, man. That is what. Oh, God. The fucking concept of true freedom is so goddamn foreign that you can't even discuss it with anyone. Because it's like super foreign concept, you know? Yeah, see, this is what it used to be like. Traveling down the road from one city to the next, one town to the next, or one village to the next. This is what the road was, basically. You know? And if you should decide, you see, oh, look at that, the little clearing over there, that looks like a nice place to build a cabin, then you would just wander off at the clearing and set your tools down and pick up an axe and start chopping and stacking. Start by just building a shelter, lean-to or something, a little fire pit or something. Set your bedding down and your bags in there and grab your tools and start chopping. Before you know it, you got yourself a cabin and a little garden and all that. And you're